Hello, everyone, and welcome to Discover Rising Ties, How the Outside Makes the Inside Better. And I am here with Denise Stegall. And oh, by the way, my name is Jeanne Gallagher for those that care, don't know, whatever. If you're just watching us or just listening to us on your favorite podcast and you like to see our happy faces, jump on over to YouTube and we'd be glad to give you that opportunity, and make sure you like and subscribe no matter where you're at. But thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to do my best not to cough while we talk. So how are you, Denise? It's been a while.
It has been a while, and I'm sorry to hear that you're still not feeling well. Um, I've been traveling quite a bit, but I am back home in Rochester, Minnesota, which kind of makes today's topic really poignant because it is really still cold and it is really still gray out there. It is unpleasant. Um,
Yeah.
That said, earlier today, twice today actually, once in a meeting you and I were in, and then just about an hour ago when I was at a networking event, two people had talked about, movement or exercise, but they're just not doing it because it's cold outside. Now, granted,
Mhm.
one person was a bicycle rider, and so yeah, it's been pretty brutal in the Midwest, so I get that. However, I truly believe that midwinter movement mindset needs to be altered a little bit, right? We get in this kind of hibernation mode. Oh, I'll do it when it gets warmer. Oh, when I can't wait till spring comes and I can start to do this outside. But we're stuck inside and not doing anything movement wise for our body. So, thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, it a lot of it depends upon the region you're in. And I know in New England it's been bitterly cold, like zero and negative, and it makes it way more challenging. But it's also important to even get that 10 or 15 minutes outside if you can. There's It's so easy not to when the weather is adverse.
Yes.
So easy. There's a whole list of reasons why we can't make it.
Now, those are
And
excuses.
well, then there's some of them are legit, but
Yes.
I think that, when you're talking about winter and ice and snow and your ability, I know that when I was in Maine in January and I was recovering some surgery, I had to be super careful about ice and slipping because don't fall with a new hip and all these other things. So there's so much that sometimes it's hard to overcome all of that. And so I want to acknowledge the reasons or the excuses or what people are thinking, and challenge people to how can you overcome some of that? And especially when you're in colder climates, knowing that, and it could be that you're just standing outside for a few minutes, just the fresh air. It doesn't mean that you're out for a run or you're out for a jog, or it could be that you've just taken yourself outdoors with a cup of coffee that gets cold really fast.
Yes.
Or a cup of tea, and you're just standing there, just something to change the environment, get the fresh air. I know that as I'm recovering from this viral junk, being outside, I think is helping that recovery process, just getting cleaning out the germs. But when it's cold, I think one of the things that for me that makes a difference is understanding what I need to wear before it's time to decide to go and I can't find what I need.
Absolutely. I mean, when I moved to Minnesota, people said, "Oh, you get used to it here." No, you just get better clothes in the wintertime,
Right. Yeah.
right? It's just what it is. So I would agree with you. That is an important piece. I want to go back to what you said about being outside. Now we know with our circadian rhythm, one of the most important things we can do for ourselves, for our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health, is early in the morning to go outside and get sun in your eyes. No
Mhm.
glasses, like my glasses are tinted, so these don't help, right? If I go outside, all of a sudden they're dark. I'm not getting sun in my eyes. This is a great way to start right? Getting outside for a few minutes. Like to the point you make, just getting outside, the fresh air. When we're inside all the time, the windows are closed, they haven't been open for a while, the air can tend to get a little stale, right? And if we don't have a really good air filter, I have
Mhm.
two. Actually, we have a separate one in our bedroom and a big one that takes care of the rest of the 3,000 square feet of the house. And essentially, it's pulling out the viruses and the germs and the things that kind of can coagulate in a home through the winter. And so that in itself, like the stale air, can actually, decrease our desire to
Mhm.
start moving,
Yeah.
right? I have a friend, she's 84, and she gets her 10,000 steps every single day, no matter what. She walks around her house. Now, she
Mhm.
does have a bicycle that she'll sit in front of the TV for a few minutes and do that. But she gets her 10,000 steps. And she said, as she's gotten older and she's done a little less in the community, this is the one thing that she can easily do. So, movement doesn't have to be a big deal, but we
Mhm.
have to get up off our tushies and move, right?
Yeah. And get into that mindset of, for me, I also have to play head games with myself. Would I feel better if I did it or if I didn't? And that happens a lot with things that I'm procrastinating. How would I feel if I actually got this done? Oh, and it seems like so kindergarten, but it happens a lot. And then I'm like, okay, no, I do need to get this done. I know that the effort's going to be worthwhile, and just having to push through. And I noticed that too when I haven't been feeling well. It's the best part of the day is taking a nap.
Mhm.
But there's times where I just needed to push through that, because I had to get to the other side, and I knew I would be better for it.
Right. I mean, taking the nap is easy, and sometimes your body really
So, and you
does
have to.
need
There's
that,
times when you just need to.
right?
Exactly.
But it kind of goes like, yeah, that's an easy thing to do, or the easy thing to say is, I'll do something tomorrow.
Hmm.
With so many exercises and so many programs online, we have no excuse to stay inactive. One of the things that I love, I have two people who I follow online. I follow their YouTube pages,
Hmm.
right? One of them I actually pay $5 a month to be in her program or her whatever. I get extra workouts to my email, and they don't, they're 30 minutes. They don't take up a lot of space. Some of them are just body exercises, and they're
Hmm.
things that we all know, but unless we're a personal trainer, it's just not in our wheelhouse to get changed into our workout gear and go, okay, now what am I going to do? Okay, I'll
Hmm.
do 10 push-ups. Great. Okay, I'll do some sit-ups. Now what?
Right.
Right?
Yeah. It
So,
it takes pre-planning, or you need to put the responsibility of the decision making on somebody else that's more knowledgeable than you. That's why we go to the gym, or we go to CrossFit, or we do whatever we do, because there's somebody there that's going to take um that heavy lifting, if you will, of the decision making of what I need to do. And but finding resources online is so much easier now than it was 5 or 10 years ago.
absolutely, absolutely. And, the mindset piece, it is helpful if you have a partner, spouse, child, whomever,
Accountability
um,
partner, puppy dog.
accountability partner, who is there. I have a, I have my accountability partner is my husband, Mark. Um, we both take movement and exercise very seriously. We're not getting any younger, right?
Mhm.
And we know this is uh, an absolute essential for our, here's my word, longevity. Longevity here meaning being able to do the things we love to do as long as we can,
Mhm.
right? And if at 54, I just decide, it's not that important to me. And I gain weight and I lose muscle mass and I lose bone density. Where am I going to be at 64? And so
Yeah.
that to me is a mindset that we have to really start to understand and really kind of, switch gears and get into a mindset of how am I going to, it's fine if I don't do this today, but if I don't do this
Mhm.
today, probably won't do it tomorrow. And what is 5 years down the road going to look like? What am I going to look like in 10 years? And am I going to be spending my entire week going from doctor appointment to a doctor appointment because I have all these things that could have been prevented? So, movement, yes, exercise, give it a name, is essential for today, but truly it's setting you up for the next 5, 10, 20 years.
That's the motivating factor for me also. How can you make sure putting in the work today, excuse me, putting in the work today is going to help you when you decide, oh, I'm going to go, a friend called you, let's go for a walk or let's go for a hike. If you've done the pre-work, it's easier just to drop and go because you know physically what your body can and can't do. And that's also been a motivating factor for me as well, and especially from recovering from surgery again for hip number two. There's It can be discouraging in a way because I've had 5 weeks of inactivity, so that mental piece of, oh, I'm starting over again, but I have to change that narrative in my brain because I can, at this age, things deteriorate really fast, really, really fast. So it is what it is. So now I
Mhm.
just need to, as my body is ready to do more work, I need to do more work and embrace that, because what am I going to do be able to do in the next 10 years or the next 15 years? And because there's a 10-year difference almost between you and me, and it becomes more imperative to have the ability to continue to move as you're in your 60s and then approaching your 70s and then approaching your
Absolutely.
80s.
Absolutely. I think there's so many people like you and I who are thinking long term, but we get busy, especially in the wintertime. We kind of, like I said earlier, we kind of get into hibernation mode and we don't think that far down the road.
Mhm.
Um, and I totally understand it. It's amazing to me though that I have a client who she's a couple of years older than I am, but she does what's called rucking, and essentially it's
Mhm.
hiking with
With a
a weighted
weighted
vest
pack. Yep.
and or weighted vest pack, yes.
Mhm.
And she'll do that. She was out not all that long ago, like a week ago. Well, it
Mhm.
wasn't, she's not doing that when it's -2. But to go back to what we were saying before, she knows the clothes she needs to wear. She knows the
Mhm.
trail she's going to be on. She has appropriate footwear, whatever that might be.
Mhm.
But she also knows her limitations. So I think that's important. She knows these things, right? And so for those people who are sitting going, okay, Denise, you're right. Jeanne, you got a point. I should probably start moving. I know it's, you know, February, especially here in the northern Midwest part of the country. This winter's long, right? So if you think about it, this winter could be like truly to me, winter here is like 5 months long.
Mhm.
So for 5 months, you're not going to do anything.
Right.
That's a mindset shift that I think is essential for all of us to understand, no matter where you live, because we all get to that. If you're in Arizona and it's July, it's flipping hot. Right?
Right. So
So
there's
there's
another
all
whole
sorts.
level of reasons why you shouldn't go out or reasons why you shouldn't do anything because it's too hot or the weather's not appropriate for the activity that you're looking for.
So this is where you're going to love this because you've heard me say this a million times. This is where planning and calendar management come in. You know, here, you guess here, if you're going to be outside, do any kind of activity here in the wintertime, it's warmer at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, between 2 and 4 o'clock. That's when it's the warmest. So that's probably a good time to go out, go for a walk, whatever it may be. People here have those really thick tire bikes,
Mhm.
and they're
Fat tire
out.
bikes.
Fat tire bikes, thank you. Same thing like if you're in Arizona or where it's really hot in the summertime, you get up and you do it early or you do it really late,
Mhm.
right? But we have to put it on our calendars. Movement has to become a non-negotiable in our lives, and that's really that mindset shift that I think many people struggle with, especially in midlife and beyond.
So how do we make it a non-negotiable? What kind of mind games do we need to play, or what's the priority process in order to make that happen?
I think first figuring out what your why is. Why do you want to move more?
Mhm.
Um, and it can't be something like, oh, I want to lose weight. That's not a great motivator, right? Maybe I want to lose 20 pounds for my son's wedding. It's a bit of a motivator,
Mhm.
right? I want to fit into my swimsuit. I want to look good in my swimsuit or better in my swimsuit, give it whatever you think. Um, by the time we go on our cruise this summer. For people who I've talked to recently, one of the ladies, she has a new grandson and she wants to be, and she's 60, I think she's 64, first grandchild. So I'm sure there's more coming down the pike. She wants to be able to spend time with that grandchild, playing on the floor, doing the things that she did with her kids, with her grandkids. And the only way she can do that is to stay active and to keep, her body, her bones strong, her muscles
Mhm.
strong, and the flexibility. I mean, crawling around the floor, with a toddler is not easy. And however, it can get easier the more we move and stretch and think flexibility and mobility exercises. It doesn't always have to be you have to go for a run. Sometimes it's doing some yoga, and I know you do yoga very
Mhm.
often in the mornings. I don't know how many days do you do that.
Well, once I've fully recovered, and I'm clear for the activity, 45,
There
not
we go.
45, 4 or 5.
Or 5.
4 or 5 mornings a week. And yes, and that movement is really important. That there's the blood flow, but also the mental clarity that comes from that is also important too. But what I'm hearing from you is it's finding that motivational factor that changes this hesitation that we have for adding something new to our schedule into a non-negotiable. And so what I would encourage people to do is to figure out what other non-negotiable things you have in your life. What are those? Why are they non-negotiable? And what have you done in order to create that thought process? And what's the discovery process for that? And then how can you apply that process? Everybody motivates in different ways.
Absolutely.
And how can you apply that thought process the to this movement piece, and especially when in off season when it's not as convenient to move? So what is it that what else do you do that's non-negotiable?
Mhm.
You take
I
time
like
to
that.
journal, or you take time to read, or you take time to do whatever that is. And how can you fit that into your calendar? And I'd love to hear from people that say that have some ideas of this is what worked for me, and this is what I'm finding, or this isn't working for me and I don't know what to do. Because identifying what's not working is quite often the first stage of integrating that event or that activity or that thing into your life.
But
But
yes, that's exactly where most people struggle. So, yes.
What tips can we give?
What tips can we
Let's
give?
put a little bow
Okay.
on this. First of all, one thing that you had mentioned before we started was, and I loved how way you said it, the midwinter movement mindset. It's great, by the way. It,
I
and
like alliteration.
yeah. And so now, first of all, we need to decide that it's needed. Just moving is needed. Being sedentary is the worst thing that we can do for ourselves, for our health today, but mostly for our health later on in life.
Yes, absolutely. So making the decision that it's important, and it's important. In order to make the decision, why is it important for you? Who is it going to affect? You,
Mhm.
of course, your spouse, your children, your grandchildren, right? You can also positively affect your neighbors, your friends, your family. But truly, who are the people that this is going to affect in a positive way? So then, so it's the why, but then also the what. What do you enjoy? Right? I enjoy running. I don't run as much as I used to, but what do you enjoy? A lot of
I've never
times
put
people,
enjoy and running in the same sentence before.
and most people don't, I know. I probably didn't when I was younger, because when I was younger, I did dancing and fencing. But that's an important thing. What did you do when you were younger that was fun, that you enjoyed? I mean, movement doesn't have to be about, grueling workouts.
Mhm,
Um, yes, we do, as women in midlife and beyond, we do need to lift weights, right?
mhm.
That's essential for our bone density and our muscle mass. But it doesn't have to be something that you absolutely hate. It can be done in a fun way. So maybe that's the next piece, is like finding something that's fun.
Mhm. And then,
And then, yeah,
no, I was going to just, so understanding your why, finding and figuring out what you really do enjoy, what's going to bring you happiness and in an activity. And then what is it going to take in order to get this thing done?
right. What are the things that you're doing that are wasting time that you can replace? So sitting and watching television for 3 hours,
Doom
people do
scrolling.
that. Scrolling, yep, scrolling through, doom scrolling. Exactly. Right. Truly, if we move for a half an hour every day, and I mean 7 days a week,
Mhm.
if we're just thinking of it as just getting up and moving, um, we can find a half an hour. I mean, some of the videos, my weight workouts are 30 to 40 minutes.
Mhm.
That's it. And those I do 2 and 3 times a week. Doesn't take a lot of time. It takes more time for many of us to get our brain around doing it than it actually takes once we start doing it.
Right.
Um, and then the next thing is to have a partner. Tell somebody you're going to be like, this is what I'm going to do this week. I'm going to exercise or move twice this week. Haven't been
Mhm.
doing anything, so I'm going to do twice. And I can do it Tuesday and Thursday because my schedule's open at this time. So it really is making it a priority in life
Mhm.
and understanding why it's a priority for you.
Yeah. And figure out what is it going to take in order to get this done. Is it an outside activity that's going to take a knowledge of, and do some test runs on layers of clothing, layer up, and but have them ready to go so that when it's time, oh, here's my 30 minutes. I've got to go, oh, I've got to go get my boots, and I've got to go get this, and I've got to go get this. And now it's only 10 minutes left of your allotted time. Well, have everything ready to go. So it just takes a second, and you can't, your brain can't try to convince you out of it.
Yes, absolutely. I've heard in the past, like people say if they get up and they go to the gym or work out in the morning,
Mhm.
they'll sleep in their workout clothes. Okay, I have never done that. It's a little bit much for me, especially in menopause. That's not happening. Um, but everything is in the bathroom waiting for me to
Mhm.
get up and do it. Now, for me, my schedule is I work out pretty much most mornings at 7:30 in the morning.
Mhm.
Now, there are certain days, Tuesdays often, is I work out later in the day, which is around 4 o'clock. I also know after 5 o'clock, I'm useless. Like my brain, I've been doing too many other things. So also to know when are you best during the day? Are you really good
Yeah.
early in the morning? Get it done then, right? Is it three
Yeah.
o'clock in the afternoon? My husband Mark loves to run at noon. If he could have a schedule where that would work out every day, he would be the happiest man in the world. He's pretty happy anyway. Um, but knowing your body and yourself and your schedule.
Mhm. Great. Winter movement mindset. So important.
So movement.
Thanks, Denise, very, very much.
Thank you, Jeanne. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening today. Today's show was sponsored by Seaside Solutions, my financial services company. As a business owner, it's easy to be pulled in many different directions, and often taking care of yourself plummets to the bottom of the list. For me, I find myself outside to reground. My time outdoors helps me manage my day more effectively and be more present for my clients. Through this, Discover Rising Tides was born. At Seaside Solutions, we truly believe that education is the foundation of financial wellness. Our primary focus is to provide guidance that is designed to help you achieve your long-term financial goals and visions. Working with a plan allows space for doing more things that you love, like being outside to make the inside better. If I can help you create or realign your plan, or if you would like to be added to my weekly newsletter, please let me know. This week's topic was 5 ways to set more achievable goals. Your referral means the big, beautiful world to me. And if I can help, please let me know. And thank you so much for listening, and see you next time.